Now, as you watch that report, the concern now is what can a 70,000 naira minimum wage do in the life of the lowest ranking staff in an economy grappling with inflation and high cost of living? After almost 13 months of collective bargaining, many are trying to come to terms with the Nigerian workers' earning power, at least for the next 3 years. Arise News was in town to get the polls of a cross-section of the people on the new minimum wage.
If you look at the cost of living and the price of goods and services, 70,000 cannot take one person in a 1 month. Talk more of a person that have family, wife, children. So it's just a game. They promise a living wage, but this one is a slavery wages.
We're actually hoping that at least they will peg it at 100,000, which is still not enough. But in any case, I don't think I have anything to say much because the problem we have now is inflation. And already retailers are planning on how to increase prices of goods, hearing that the government has actually increased their minimum wage.
The 70 they have done is still good, but what they should be doing is make more effort to improve the value of the naira so that it can buy more.
The 70,000 minimum wage will not help the matters. The only thing that I think that even to help the matters are if the government begin to subsidize things so that people that they are not working under the government agency, but they will still benefit.
There is an office I visited today, which I will not mention the name of the office. At 11 o'clock, I couldn't see anybody in the office, and I was so depressed. I said, oh, look at this, look at my fellow Nigerian workers that are demanding for increase in minimum wage. None of them is in the office. And if government does not pay, they are the same people that will keep alarming that government has not paid them. So please, we Nigerians, we need to really look inward on ourselves before we even disturb the government.
Private sector, well, even most of them were not even able to pay the 30,000 naira. So now, I think what they will tell their employees now is, if you're going to accept or we can pay you fine, if you can't make do with it, go. So I don't know how the government will be able to regulate the payments now. I don't know how.
The public sector mean that if there's any federal government is forcing them, then they are going to reduce the staff strength because they don't have that capacity to pay.
Our private sector have been even above minimum wage. I work in private sector. If you work in the bank, no bank will give you staff 70,000. Bank are paying more than 200, 300 by 5 years ago. So when you say private sector, they are organized private sector, and they are private sector, they are not organized.
Well, NLC President Ajaero joins me in the studio to look at this issue. Good to see you, and thanks for your time. Well, it's been a long tortoise journey, and you had Nigerians there talking. And first, let's talk about how we arrived at 70,000 naira. It's a better place for us to start this conversation.
Yeah, thank you very much. Normally, in Nigeria, it's the Tripartite committee that negotiates. And after negotiation, they came to 62,000. You know, organized private sector, government, governors, and labor. There it was labor that said, no, this can't fly. And they submitted their report to the president. You know, awaiting transmission to the National Assembly. Yeah. So at that point, we said, no, this is not going to work. It's not what we agreed. And then another round of talks. So Thursday last week, the president met with us and gave so many analyses. Even while we were negotiating at 60, the governor said they won't pay. That it's going to be difficult for them to pay. And then we continue moving because that has been the plan of some of them, you know. So the president gave us two options. That I can pay you 250, and if you allow me to increase the pump price of petroleum products. And he said, you are Ajaero. On my first day, I said subsidy is gone. Yeah. And since that time, you have refused to allow me to increase more. So where will I get the money to pay you minimum wage? If you allow me, I pay you that. If not, take 62. I'm giving you 1 hour to talk. Let me stay in my office so that we can conclude this meeting. And we say, no, we are not meeting here. We are joined for 1 week. And we went back and looked at the larger implication of we collecting 250 and another increase in pump price of petroleum products. So we went back to say, Mr. President, these are two issues. We are here for minimum wage. We are not able to discuss the issue of pump price or attaching it as a condition for increasing. That would be too selfish of the labor movement. So it was there that we opened the discussion and got to 70,000, because that's the question you asked. But 70,000 clearly is an increase of 130% or 133% of the old rate. And then if you look at it, and I can ask companies, even some analysts that are talking, that where you are working, probably let our rise increase 100% so that we can take it from there, because it's enough to criticize, because the burden, the wage burden will definitely almost double. And then that was where the private sector had been complaining, that is going to affect, their activities. So we took it and then we moved further to break a jinx of negotiating every 5 years. Now what this means, we are pushing for two years, and Mr. President said let's leave it for 3 years. What this means is that even before the next election, we are going to negotiate again and get another wage reviewed. So in both ways, we try to balance it so that the economy can move, everybody can, However, if you follow it, and of course this is not something we would normally discuss in the public, there is no worker on level 1, step 1 in Nigeria today. You only see workers on about level 4. And if you look at consequential adjustment, there's usually 1,500 or 2,000 or from one level to the other. So from level 1 to level 15, even if it is 1,000, we are going to get about 15,000 there. The same thing level 2 step to the 15th level, the same level. So additionally, at level 4 where people start, you are going to have almost 45 to 50,000 added to 70,000. But this is where the fight is, because the governors...
I was coming there.
Because
the conversation you've always had is with the president.
Because the governors are usually worried about this consequential adjustment and how it impacts on salaries. So in most instances, they will just start maybe 70,000 on somebody on level 4 and say nobody in the state is receiving that. So I think that's where we need to do the balancing for states that will pay. Now on the issue of governors, the president say the subnationals is going to work with them, on this issue of minimum wage, and that the private sector, is equally going to address the issue that will enable them to pay. So that's the situation, and that was how we arrived at 70,000, which was your question.
Well, arriving at 70, you have even made it so easy. Let's dovetail into the big problem. The crux of the matter now will be the subnationals. And time without number, once you're done with that conversation with the federal government, it's as if the states are left to swim in their own waters. So how do you expect the states, now that the NGF, just before this final review, the NGF, the Nigeria Governors Forum, spoke, saying that, look, we can't afford 62,000. That was 62 you rejected. Now we're on 70. What's the fate of workers in the subnationals?
Well, as at the time we reached at 62, 2 of their representatives were there. The governor of Kwara State and the governor of Imo State. And I called their attention that you are here meeting with us, and your colleagues are saying they won't pay. That undermines the essence of your representation here. They say, no, that's not an issue. They will talk with their colleagues. However, all those things have continued to come up. Before that day, precisely May 1, the governor of Edo State said, I will be paying 70,000 effective May 1. The governor of Lagos said, I'm already paying 70,000. I just came back from Uyo. The head of service there came for the opening ceremony of our training program and said, we are waiting for them to finish, we will pay. Now, as we talk now, You know, when they go, other governors were saying they won't pay. That of KB, which you know they are not, you know, their revenue is not too high, said, I'm not among those saying they will not pay. I will pay. Now, 2 days ago, the governors from PDP came out to say these people need an improved wage. Although they put a caveat, we have to consider ability to pay, which was, now, none of them can now say they are 70,000, they don't have ability to pay. Because between the time there was increase in pump price of petroleum products, they have been receiving additional almost 200% of the revenue, and nothing has changed in terms of wages. Yeah. So you can see that it is a matter of priority. Those that prioritize, you know, their governance scale very well, they will pay. Those that will not pay will definitely not pay, even if you give them all the money. President Buhari released money from Paris Fund at the state for them to pay salaries. Some didn't pay it. So I think that is where we're going to focus now, to make sure that this is properly implemented. And I think this is just the first stage. We are going to other stages in this.
And as we wind down, you know, there are because by the time this is made a law, it becomes binding on everyone. And the worry now is some companies that may not be able to pay the minimum, which is the 70,000 naira. Are you also worried that some may experience some kind of retrenchment and sack?
Well, what is there is that even by their submission, NECA, you know, submitted that they are paying well. And we're talking of organized private sector. Those in organized private sector, if they are paying 70,000 as of today, I will be surprised. Clearly. You know, but there are small and medium scale enterprises. You know, some of them may be battling, you know, some are equally doing better, but some of them may be battling to pay now. However, and let us take this clearly, if they were selling their products 1,000 naira when the last minimum wage was introduced at 30,000, today that product is going for 5,000. Now there has been, each time there's any economic downturn, they adjust. There's no commodity that has remained, you know, that has not moved up to 300 or 400%. Apart from labor that has been constant. If you are producing toothpaste, you know, and then somebody that is earning 30,000 is expected to equally buy from when it was 1,000 to when it is 5,000. And we felt that if all other indices are moving up, there's no way you keep labor wage constant. And that's equally what has happened now. Some of them, their revenue has equally increased, with whether it is marginal increase or whatever, on the commodities they are producing. So I think they should be in a better position to cope with the realities of the moment.
Let's see how it pans out. I'd like to thank you for your time. It's been a torturous journey all the same. I, Ajaero, President NLC, thank you for coming on Newsnight.